Welcome to the One True Divine Feminine and Psychic Investigations Tarot. We're a place of light and love and healing and spreading angelic vibes across the universe. And we're also about sometimes solving crimes and dealing with difficult issues. So we kind of get into it all here. But everybody's welcome. Love you all. I send hugs and blessings out to the universe, to each and every one of you who have been helping me along this journey. How very blessed I am. And I thank you so much for being a part of this trip with me. Well, today we have some new cards I'm going to share. And again, for me, it's all about the artwork and the imagery and what those images say. So it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with what's in the little guidebook, but how the cards speak to me, though sometimes they do line up. So we're going to start today with a card that has everything to do with lust. And I mean, you can pretty clearly see that in this card, right? There's definitely some lust filled tension and vibes in this card. You can see that with the man. You can see the woman's being swept off her feet. You can see there's a lot of fire and passion and intensity here. And of course, in a truly loving connection, all of that's wonderful, right? This can also represent a lust filled energy that people sometimes try to project on another human being, not necessarily for good purposes. This can be filing things like false prostitution charges or creating YouTube videos that have slanderous or slutty information on it, or calling people bunny buckets, or just somehow trying to disparage someone by casting a false sense of lust-filled energy over another human being. So, of course, when it's channeled properly in a loving relationship, this can be wonderful. And when it's used to filthitize someone, that's not necessarily very good energy, right? And we want to bring that up because in a truly godlike country, we don't want to do those kinds of things, right? Here we have the Hierophant. This is a man who walks his walk and talks his talk. This is a real man of God, right? Somebody who actually means what they say. They truly hold God in high honor. They try to do the right thing. And this man actually has a woman who's helping to guide him. She has her sword of truth. She's drawing the energy from the ethers and she's bringing the sword of truth down to the ground. And the two of them actually are here working together, which is really brilliant. So we have a man of the cloth and a spiritual person working together to bring good things to the planet. And how beautiful is that? Because if both people are tapped in, you can have the light of the universe over the whole situation. It's like you've got the key to the universe in your hands. Might have different approaches, but you are both trying to bring good things down to the planet, right? And decency and loving kindness and upholding women, loving women as well as other people, right? And when your heart center is open, like this person's is right here, well, then the world just is so much more of a beautiful place to live, right? And we need more godlike energy in our country where women are actually listened to and upheld and honored and their voices are heard. And I love this card because here you have both energies working together. And isn't that a truly beautiful thing, right? It should be like that. We may have different approaches, but a lot of people who are like me still believe in the divine, right? We just have a different way of going about things. And of course, by bringing good energy to women in the country, and me in particular, I've had an army of good people trying to bring in this beautiful energy for me, the divine feminine, the one who's made it all the way around the world and back with her story, much to my dismay, right? Because of the things that have happened to me. And yet, because of the good, kind, loving hands of helping people, strong men, Army, Navy, NASA, FBI agents going into dangerous places, real police knocking heads, detectives, private eyes, because of this energy, this wheel, this beautiful egg-shaped wheel is turning, and you can see there's a golden path here. And I don't mean gold in terms of money, but in terms of things working out for the better, right? And if money can be used to do good things in the world, well, then that is golden, right? Um, but this is just the energy of change happening, and it's being blown in by the winds of all the directions, right? So that's like, FBI, police, detectives, private eyes, all helping. And what that's causing is this transformation, which you can see with the snake. And again, snakes aren't always bad. A lot of times in symbology, they are very transformative. They can be very healing. They can be birthing new things. Why? Because they're always able to shed their old skins and rebirth or renew themselves. And of course, I have been in the process of doing that for quite some time. I got hit so hard, it took a number of years to regain a sense of myself. I'm still not 100% there, but I'm getting closer every day, right? And it is as if the eye of God is watching over this journey. And you can see the divine right here helping to make this happen. And I'm truly grateful for truly godlike energy in our country, energy that uplifts women, that uplifts all people, right? All people, not just women, but all people, and shows the true love and grace of God to everybody. Now, getting to that point of that new journey, I've had to battle a lot of monsters, right? Ooh, some so big, it was terrifying, right? However, I had bigger monsters helping me. And I'm thinking this is, FBI energy. And one by one, by one, by one, by one, by one, all of the snakes that tried to just take my spirit and chew it to pieces and throw it out have all been getting caught and swallowed whole. And, just some of the horror of what I, as a woman, have been through should never happen in this country. And yet, because of the strong work of, good men, good women on the front line, these monsters are getting chewed up and returned back to sender from which they came. And of course, it has been an emotional journey, right? I've been put through hell and back in truth with filth that you can't even begin to imagine. It's like, sex trafficking, people in my shower, a fake reality TV show, stuff that a lot of people would never survive. The filth was so horrible. And of course, in a truly godly country, those kinds of things should never happen, right? But we have people who are helping. And yes, it was an emotional journey. Lots of waves in the water. And when you see water, it's always emotions, at least in my dreams, it is. And turbulent, a lot of things that were difficult to go through. And yet, I'm a very strong person. And I have grown through this. I have become stronger spiritually as a result. And though I wouldn't wish this on anyone, I'm grateful for everything that I've learned. And of course, the intent of those monsters was literally to kill me in every possible way, to steal my house from me, probably my pension from me, my husband from me, my money from me, which they did take quite a bit of that, but I think they were working on even more than that, to kill me, to sex traffic me, to kidnap me, to slander me to the point that there literally was nothing left. And you can tell with the Ten of Swords, it's like they were intent upon piercing my heart and destroying my spirit, right? Utterly, completely destroying my spirit. And I still feel it in my heart center. But because I started doing my yoga, my chanting, my angelic wall of light, which, trust me, that has saved me twice in my life. And I do genuinely mean that by calling in angelic white light. I am healing all of that. And so, in truth, what this actually did was I pulled out each sword one by one by one, and I healed. And I'm still working on it, right? I've been healing all of that stuff. And so the end result of this turmoil and trouble is that I'm going to be more powerful and strong and committed and wanting to go on my path than I ever was before. So this is like being forged in the fires. Shadrach, Meshach, and Mendigo, into the fiery furnace to go, right? Only I'm going to come out strong, very strong. And because I'm a healer, I did it by going within into hermit mode. And I stayed in there for a long darn time, right? Because I was in the dark night of the soul, worse than you could imagine. And that's what the cheating in our country did to my family. It nearly killed me. So we have to stop with that kind of stuff because we're hurting real people with this kind of thing. But I went within. I found my inner light, my inner wisdom, and I'm going to use this to help birth new and better things into our country, because I have that light in my hand now and I can see what things are not working in the dark. And we're going to start shedding a light on things that are going to work better for us as a nation so that we can truly be one nation under God, and find a way that works for everybody, right? And I'm not going to say it's going to be easy along the path. I have encountered truly snakes and werewolves of the worst proportion, and witches and warlocks aplenty. But the goal is to birth something new and transformative into our world. And each one of us can do that if we go inside and work on the healing that needs to be done. And I won't say it's easy. It hasn't been easy either time, but I have overcome both times. And the last time I went through this, it made me far stronger. And this was 10,000 times harder. So I imagine I'm going to be forged into quite a force of nature as a result of this. And the goal, of course, is to use everything you learn to start on a new and better journey. And that's the truth, right? And this is a journey, not only an inner journey for me, but it's a journey for our country. How do I know? Because we've got Cancer the crab up here, and Cancer always relates to the homeland. And so we need to go on a journey where we can once again find our fire, our dignity, our self-respect, our love for each other, all of the things that once made us so proud as Americans that somehow we have lost sight of and fallen into a trap of lies and cheating and backstabbing and hating each other and finding a God that hates everybody. And somehow we need to change all of that around, right? And I think a true loving God, right, would want that for our country. They would want a protected journey with this awning overhead so that we could forge ahead with force and strength and protection in renewing our country. Something that we can all be proud of, even if that means we have to divide into territories. And frankly, I'm quite a proponent of that. But that could make us stronger, possibly, than ever before. And also, we need to realize that part of what we've been going through is a 248-year cycle of Capricorn and Pluto together. And it began in 1776. And we've been going through a lot of the same things as it's concluding its cycle, only now we're seeing the tail end of it. And it has so much to do with corruption of big business, big government, greed. It's like the underbelly, the seediness of all of the institutions that we started off at one point overthrowing the Tories so that we could have more say for the people. And we're right back where we started. Only this time we don't have the Tories to blame, but only ourselves. So the journey has to be one of preparing for Pluto and Aquarius, which is moving into the power of the people, for the people, by the people, and not forgetting that people are our biggest resource. And we have forgotten that and neglected that for so long in favor of big business and big government, which have become so greedy and corrupt that many of us no longer recognize where we are. So this has to change. So it's as if we're going to bring in a storm, right? But storms can be so rejuvenating, refreshing, fresh air coming in, fresh ideas coming in, fresh intuition, fresh power, cutting away that which no longer works, no longer serves, making change so that new things can be birthed, right? More brilliant, vibrant things that work for everybody. And also recognizing that each of us finds our path to God very uniquely. And it doesn't mean that just because the path is different, that it is not a good path, right? Here you can see it's like each person has the inspiration or light of God right here in their third eye. How you reach that light and inspiration, well, that's unique and different for each one of us. And that's why we need to be able to find our own path, sing our own song, play our own song, find our way to that godlike energy in our unique fashion. Now, I know that because we're two-party system, sometimes bringing what some of us want into fruition isn't easy. But if we had territories, you could bring God into your territory in the way you wanted. And we could, on this side, bring God in another fashion, right? But the goal, at least for me, is we want a more decent, loving, kind nation where some of the filth and horror that's happening to women right now and children and things like that doesn't exist. And we need to bring in new laws, new rules, new anti-corruption stuff so that we can bring this burst of inspiration. And of course, change is hard. We have the Eight of Swords, which is called interference. So we have people right now working at cross purposes to each other. Everybody coming in at a different angle, nobody agreeing. Turmoil, right? Even at school boards, just turmoil. When what we need to do is sit down at the table and figure out how to work together, because we are in a self-imposed prison, which is another symbol for the Eight of Swords. We feel like we're stuck because we keep doing things the way we've always done them. And because we have a two-party system, we are stuck. But there are other ways of looking at things. We don't need a dictator. We don't need to get rid of all the freedoms and beautiful things that we have in this country, but we could solve so much of what's causing this angst by simply creating territories and keeping a strong national front. And then in the individual territories, people can have more of what they want without working at cross purposes. So that's just one thought, but until we all sit down at the table, we don't know. And I've paid 6 years of my life to hit the pause button on what I perceived as a terrible disaster, which was a Hitler-like energy in our country. I paid for that, and I think that deserves me having a say in what happens after the pause. And I want good things to come out after the pause. I don't want what happened to me to destroy our country. I want it to bring us together so that we can work together to solve where we are. And I think we all realize we need to do that, right? We shouldn't be at cross purposes with each other because we are all Americans, right? Now, that does mean that we have to get rid of some of the bad things, the devil energy, the things that bind us, the greed, the corruption, the drugs, the things that trap people in cycles. I would say even poverty, right? Because we have a system right now that favors a very few and is not taking care of actual people. We want to know why we have crime waves happening when we're giving people $7.50 an hour in wages, and a jar of spaghetti sauce costs $9.99. So this is one of the things that's trapping us too, is that we are not taking care of the majority of the people. A lot of people feel stuck, hopeless. This is supposed to be a prosperous country, but how do we prosper when there's so much greed and corruption and only the people at the top are getting any of the pie, right? And that is keeping us tied to this Capricorn energy, which again, Pluto and Capricorn. But since Pluto's moving into Aquarius, we need to start thinking more of the people, for the people, and by the people. And what do we honor in this country? What do we uphold? What do we value? I think we need to start valuing people. Now, that's kind of on a national level. Also, individually, we have to take a look at some of the energies that we have afoot. This card very much represents envy, jealousy, greed, using words and actions spitefully to hurt other people, wearing a mask, trying to hide who we are, hiding behind other people. This is things like identity theft, um, that sort of thing, you know. And this woman here is crushing corn, but she could equally be crushing people. And this isn't representative of any single person, but just the energy that we sometimes get in this country, where we feel like in order for one person to prosper, we have to destroy another. You know, the daggers come out, the jealousy and the envy. When in truth, what we need to do is take all of this vibrant energy, focus it on the heart center, and start developing people so that they have the means to bring forth good things in their own lives, right? We don't need the daggers and that kind of harm-filled energy. But sometimes the things that bind us, whatever they are, greed, lust, uh, just money, energy, whatever it is, can literally, I think, possess people and turn them into things we don't recognize, right? Where we're drawing on negative energies from the earth, negative energies. We have entity attachments that are truly devastating, not only to a country, but to individual people. And when you get this sort of possession, you get things like witchcraft and voodoo and you know, people who are trying to draw on the energy of everybody else rather than work on, you know, creating things for themselves. And it can, I think, literally possess people to the point of sociopathy or illness. And we need more mental health care stuff in our country. I would love to see things taught in schools like yoga, to be quite honest, that help people to deal with things and center people and help people to become more balanced. And some of the things that we do teach, like, you know, how to balance your checkbook, which I had to learn and never have done in my life, put more towards, you know, how to be a decent person, how to stay away from obsessions and being possessed literally by bad habits or things like drugs or whatever it is. Now, getting rid of some of these things, the things that bind us, the devil energy, the Capricorn energy, the lust, the greed, the envy, the sex trafficking, the harming women because, oh, we didn't like that you stopped the coup, and so we're going to do terrible things. I think we need to look very hard at where we are as a country, what's happening with the power that people have. Of course, somebody, you know, wirelessly put a ring around both of our showers for the fake reality TV show. That kind of filth that has been happening, because politically you didn't like me, or I was a woman, you didn't like me, or whatever the reason was. That kind of stuff needs to stop. And we need to begin to create towers for people when they abuse their power, or we have a justice system where we have lawyers and judges and cops who are all working to stop justice from happening. That has all got to be fixed, right? If we want a country that we can believe in, the towers have to come. The people who are doing this kind of thing have to come jumping out of the towers. And we need to burn away that energy so that we can actually have faith and trust in our country. And I would say the cheating and the big lies, all of that's got to go. Why? Because it's creating chaos and warlike energy in our country. And there are other ways to solve the problem. But that would require sitting down at a table and talking with each other. And I know it's possible, right? Because there's a great movie called The Best of Frenemies, where a KKK Southern boy had to get together and meet up with a black female activist. And let me tell you, at the beginning, it was rocky. But by the end of the movie, and it's a true story, they were friends. So anything is possible when you come to the table and you start thinking outside of the box, which has everything to do with Aquarius energy, finding unique solutions. And actually, I am an Aquarius, but I still want my readings in Sag, but that's a very particular thing about astrology that I won't get into. But the Sag readings are more accurate. However, it's the sign of humanity. And we need to get to that point where the seeing eye of God is looking out more for humanity and less for corporations, less for greed, less for big business, and burning away the extreme abuses of power that we have. Because I know of at least three people, myself, Mary, of High Priestess Intuition, and I think the spiritual advisor, who have all had hidden cameras in our houses. And of course, are some of those people getting sex trafficked too? I think we need to find out. And that kind of stuff needs to stop. And I don't care how hard you have to shake this tower to shake those people out of the building, but I'm all for it. So we need to do this. Why? Because we need a country that we can actually be proud of. And right now, I hate to say it, but we're not there. And I only say it because, I bring the sword of truth. And that means we have to cut away things that are not working. We need to bring in the Grim Reaper, get rid of the shadowy spirits and things that are not serving us well. And frankly, having had witches all over my ass, I would like to say, and I have no problem with, witches that are casting spells for good, right? It's a little weird for me, but if you're trying to do good in the world, I don't care. But when you are casting slanderous spells and suicide spells and murder spells and death spells and kidnap spells, those kinds of things, we need to start, really looking at where we are with that and start cutting out the things that are not serving us well as a nation. Things that bite us, like scorpions, and come in the middle of the night with strings and attachments, and purposefully trying to take filth that you have and attaching it to another person. That's not godly, not at all. And it needs to stop. And this is what the Grim Reaper is here for, is to start to hand those things back to the people that do them, and also to bring awareness to stuff, right? And that's all for a good reason, because people think of the death card as a bad thing, but actually it's a card of transformation, just like the tower. You cut away that which doesn't work so that you can birth something better. And the people that are going to help to do that are people like the King and Queen of Swords. This one's the Queen. You can see there's lies, illusions, things that are hidden behind here. And yet here's a woman. She's tapped in. You can see the higher connection she has to godlike energy. She's got her sword of truth out, and she's cutting through all the BS. And the reason to do that is to start to rip the masks off of things so that you can see what's really going on. And we need to do that. So where we have things that sound like they should be nicey, 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 but in the background, they're actually doing evil stuff. We need to rip the masks off and say, this is not going to work anymore. And those tactics don't work anymore. And those kinds of things shouldn't be happening in the universe. For example, trying to snuff the light out of a human being, that's not godlike energy. Or gang stalking people to cause illness and fear and all that sort of stuff. That's not godlike energy. That's just bullying, right? So we need to get to the point where we can see behind the illusions, cut through the truth, and get behind the masks and start to bring a true, loving, kind, decent God down to our country. This is not going to necessarily be easy, but it has to be done. So it's going to take bravery. It's going to take valor. It's going to take fire and inspiration, right? So we have wands here, always inspiration, some kind of journey. We have the symbol of Mars and Leo. Leo is all about leadership. Mars is like a fire under your butt to get it done. And that's exactly what we need. So that instead of working at cross purposes, we can use leadership to bring in solutions that will help to set us all on a better path. And I think we need to talk. And coming to the table was one of the things that we could do. I'm all for territories myself so that people can get more of what they want. At the same time, we could put anti-corruption laws in place, clean up the mess that we have going that's rooted and festered for the last 248 years. But it is going to take us working together. It's going to take strength and valor and strong leadership. And if we can pull it off, it will also be very transformative. I love this card. This is, if I ever saw one, an 8th house card. The 8th house is about very powerful, transformative energies. Things like life, birth, death, sex, taxes, psychological divides that you face in your life because of huge events that happen, things behind the veil, mysteries, just very, very powerful and potentially tapped in house, right? And the goal is to transform. And again, you can see the snake here. So it's like this person is going through the fires of transformation, but grasping firmly onto that Scorpio energy because Scorpio rules the eighth house. And they are more able to rise above the ashes than any other sign and rise like the phoenix. And so we need to do this as a nation. We need to burn away that which is not working. We need to work through the psychological divides. We need to burn away the bad things and start to form a transformative energy that's going to bring us into a better situation than where we are right now. And of course, one of those things in my mind is we value money above all things in this country to the point that we don't even value our own people. And what a sad thing in one of the most beautiful and prosperous countries in the world. So we need to look at where we are as a nation. We need to dig deep into the psychology of how we got where we are. And then we need to start to figure out how do we get over some of the things that we have become and some of the things that we're willing to do to people just because we're mad. Try to humiliate a woman unto death, literally. And again, is that really godlike, right? Or is it just filth that needs to be fixed and the corruption and the abuses of power? Okay, think on that. We need transformation. And if we can go through that, again, I love the symbology, we can birth a new world. And we need a new world. And we need faith systems that actually honor and uplift women and look at them as equals and true partners and not people to be subjugated, right? And that have a voice, that have a brain, that have wisdom, and they need to be treated well, along with everybody else. And there are many things that need to be transformed. Many, many, many things. But that's just one energy. But if we could do that, then we could have like the light of the cosmos shining down upon us, right? And much more beauty and decency in our world. And I think all of us that love this country would like to see transformation happen. Okay, now my special cards. I like this card for the Six of Swords because this is about taking dark energy, right? We've been through a dark period lately, especially, and the waters have been rough. And yet there is like an angel of mercy guiding us to a brighter future, to calmer waters. The FBI and the police have been helping me to get here. I'm not 100% there, but I'm working my way there. The hacking, the job blocking, that's been brutal. But overall, I feel much more like I'm heading into calm waters. And we need to do that as a nation as well. We need to realize that we're all Americans. We shouldn't be fighting each other. So what we really need is infinite wisdom, right? To be able to look each other in the eye and know that though we have differences, we are still all one people here, and we shouldn't be working at cross purposes. I also look at the infinite wisdom card of the wisdom of my ancestors, my spirit guides, the lovely people on YouTube who have helped me to survive, who my gratitude and my heart center is overflowing with love for. My gratitude is so immense, I can't truly express it. But your help has brought in just beauty and wisdom to just a horrifying situation. So to my spirit guides and FBI and real police who may be completely politically unaligned with me, who have been helping me, who have been going into dangerous places, who have been unraveling things and facing all kinds of nasty stuff on my behalf. Thank you for your guidance, for your wisdom, for your bravery, for your help, And if I have at times sounded ungrateful, it's only because I've still been going through some stuff. But those things are getting less and less. And so I'm returning more and more to myself and finding my own wisdom back again. So thank you very much. And of course, restoring balance is making me feel like a sandhill crane. And I have watched sandhill cranes doing their mating dance in Upper Michigan before, and it's very fun to watch. And they do take this posture and they click and clack and jump around, and it's very fun to watch. It's quite a beautiful dance of life. I had friends who used to call me the happy crane because I'm tall, and when I was younger, I was lanky. And I usually have a very happy spirit. That got lost in the election cheating, right? It got buried, but I'm returning to myself and my joyful dance. And I want to bring this energy back into my life. So I recognize myself once again, and you guys have all been helping. So I appreciate that. And yes, there may be some more ugly things to go through in order to get through this. And I do want those things to happen. Why? Because we had people that did some unthinkable things and they need to be held accountable. So when I face terrible things in my life, I say, well, the shit pie's coming back to the person that made it. And some of that needs to happen. And that's part of cleaning up the universe. Now, this card, the hidden path, you never know what life is going to bring. You never know. Sometimes you can get a glimpse, especially if you're an astrologer and you can see ahead. But usually, and I've always been able, at some point, this took me longer than most, be able to look back and see the wisdom of certain things and learn from things and realize that there was growth, there was love in the path from strangers that I didn't know, from beautiful tarot card readers, ancestors, people I'll never meet who've touched my life more than I could ever say. One person sent a YouTube reading when I was on the floor, said, "Still need help?" with a question mark. I needed help more than you could imagine. But that card meant everything to me because I realized that there were strangers who were helping to pull me up off the floor at a time when I needed help more than you could imagine. So the hidden path can reveal so much. And if we can tap into the love, work together, find the soul purpose, not only for each person, and honor that soul purpose and not try to snuff the light out of a human being, but honor the beauty inside of each person. And also, this represents the soul of our country, right? The sun, that brilliant light of the US of A. Then we can tap into that godlike energy, that wisdom to find our hidden way forward through the morass that we've been through. And of course, the end goal of that is the Ten of Cups happiness, right? Emotional fulfillment, finding a country we can feel loved and blessed in and proud of and excited about. And also, of course, this represents my immense gratitude, which is directly flowing out of my heart and into yours for all of the bravery, all of the kindnesses, all of the decency, all of the going through the crap, all of the sorting out the stuff, all of the help, all of the wisdom, all of the kind messages to help me overcome what was nothing shy of absolute horror. And helping us also to bring this to our country, however we need to do this. And it isn't going to happen with a big lie. It's not going to happen with cheating. It's not going to happen with a Hitler. It's not going to happen with where we are right now, the corruption and greed. But it is going to happen when we sit down at the table, when we talk, when we recognize the divinity in each other, when we work together, and then figure out a positive way, a conscious way to move our country forward into decency. All right, that's my Thanksgiving message of love and gratitude. And I know I've been ornery more than once. Boy, I do have a warrior in me, and when I don't like being spied on. So I had a lot of warrior energy in me, but I'm getting past that. I'm getting more balance back to myself, and I have a heart of love and gratitude for everybody that's helped me. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, and happy Thanksgiving.